Last night's episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live took a shocking turn when a seemingly routine interview with Elon Musk spiraled into a tense, emotionally charged showdown, culminating in a raw on-air clash that left the audience stunned and social media in chaos. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button for more explosive stories like this. The night began like any other at the Jimmy Kimmel Live studio. Slick lighting, a buzzing crowd, and a stacked guest list. Elon Musk was the headline, booked for what was meant to be a polished showcase of his latest innovations at Tesla and the future-facing ventures at SpaceX. The stage was set for Musk to do what he does best: dazzle the mainstream with vision and confidence. But things started going sideways the moment Kimmel leaned forward, flashing that trademark smirk, and asked, "So, Elon, how does it feel to be the richest man on Earth but still the most insecure?" The audience chuckled, a typical Kimmel jab, but something in Musk's expression shifted. His eyes narrowed, smile stiffened. "I'm here to talk about progress," he said coolly, voice clipped. "Not psychoanalysis." Kimmel wasn't backing down. "Oh, come on," he said, crossing one leg over the other, showman swagger fully loaded. "We've seen the tweets, the meltdowns, the memes. You launched a car into space but can't handle a blue checkmark. You're like Tony Stark with Wi-Fi issues." More laughter. Musk blinked, lips tightening. The tension wasn't subtle. It was humming through the air, thickening with every word. For a moment, Musk tried to steer the conversation back to his comfort zone. He talked about battery breakthroughs, gigafactories, a new initiative to bring affordable solar to developing countries. But Kimmel kept circling back to the jabs, swatting away Musk's PR points like flies. "That's great, but when are the self-driving cars going to stop hitting stuff?" he asked dryly. "Or is that part of the beta?" The audience gasped, a few groans breaking through the laughter. Musk tilted his head slightly. "You think? This is funny," he said, voice lower now, almost inaudible. "You're playing with real people's lives. Real work." Kimmel's smile faded for a moment, just a flicker, before he leaned in. "And yet you spend more time on Twitter than most teenagers. I mean, do you ever unplug? Or is The Matrix your bedtime story?" The crowd was roaring again. But this time Musk didn't laugh. He looked down at his hands, then back up, something steely in his gaze now. "You want a spectacle. You want to paint me as unstable. But what have you built, Jimmy? Other than punchlines?" The crowd oohed at the rebuttal, sensing the tonal shift. Kimmel waved his hand theatrically, pretending to fan away the heat. "Elon, I build smiles. Nightly. You, on the other hand, built a rocket that exploded on your birthday. Tell me that's not poetic." The audience broke into shocked laughter, but the camera caught it. The twitch in Musk's jaw, the subtle, deep breath he took to steady himself. He fired back. "And yet, I still showed up here tonight. Because I believed, foolishly, that we could have a real conversation. About the future. About solutions. But maybe I overestimated the intellectual ambition of late-night television. It landed, not with the crowd who was still playing along with the entertainment, but in the studio itself. You could feel it. Something had fractured. Kimmel raised an eyebrow. "So now we're too lowbrow for you? Elon, you spend most of your time meme posting and subtweeting. Don't pretend you're above it." Musk straightened in his seat. "There's a difference between communication and provocation. But you wouldn't know that, would you? You specialize in provoking." The silence lingered for a split second too long, long enough to register that this was no longer just sparring. This was turning personal. Kimmel didn't flinch. "Let me ask you something real then. All the power you have, all the money, the companies, the control, you still come across like someone constantly chasing validation. Why is that?" There was no audience reaction this time, just air getting sucked from the room. Musk stared at him, dead on. Because people like you tear down anyone who dares to think differently. Kimmel's laugh was short, humorless. No, we just have a radar for bull's eye. And Elon, yours is off the charts. Musk's response was quieter now, almost like he was talking to himself. You think this is funny? You think all of this is some game? Kimmel leaned back, clapping once slowly. Oh, I know it is. And tonight, you're losing. The camera cut briefly to the band, unsure whether to cue a jingle. They didn't. The silence lingered, weighted and raw. For the next few minutes, the exchange devolved further. Kimmel picked apart SpaceX's missed deadlines, Tesla's stock drops, and Musk's highly publicized disputes with regulators. Musk responded with increasingly strained attempts to reassert control of the conversation, his hands beginning to tremble slightly as he clutched his lapel mic, his voice rising just enough to betray the pressure. I've risked everything to push humanity forward, he said. And all you do is reduce it to a punchline. What are you risking, Jimmy? Your next Emmy nomination? Kimmel grinned, cold. That's rich, coming from the guy who renamed Twitter like it was a midlife crisis on display. Another wave of laughter rippled through the audience. Musk's face didn't move. His eyes were glassy now. The audience was starting to shift, still laughing but less confidently, as if unsure whether they were still watching satire or something more brutal, more real. Then Kimmel pressed again, leaning forward, voice dropping into something more cutting. You ever think the reason people laugh at you isn't because they don't understand you, but because you don't understand yourself? Musk blinked, didn't speak, didn't move. Then finally he exhaled, shallow, tight, and reached for his water glass with a trembling hand. The camera zoomed in subtly, just enough to catch it. The faint glisten at the edge of his eye. Jimmy smiled again. This is going even better than I hoped. The studio lights flared softly as the show came back from commercial break, but the mood had shifted. What had started as playful jabs had mutated into something colder, darker, a live wire stretched too far. Elon Musk sat rigid in his seat, eyes down, a half-drunk glass of water trembling faintly in his grip. The audience, still primed for late-night laughs, was now caught in the middle of a spectacle they hadn't expected. The applause was hesitant. Some clapped because they were supposed to. Others looked around, waiting to see what would happen next. Jimmy leaned back in his chair, smiling like a man who had just sunk a game-winning shot. But underneath the grin was a glint of something sharper. He wasn't done. So, he said, his voice casual but razor-edged. You were saying you came here to talk about the future of humanity. Let's do that. Tell us, how's colonizing Mars going? Still planning to turn it into your personal escape hatch? Musk looked up, slowly. The glassy look in his eyes was gone, replaced now with something else, something more deliberate. You joke, he said flatly, but you have no idea what's coming. This world is not built to last. Climate collapse, AI instability, geopolitical instability. Kimmel cut in, waving a hand. Elon, come on. You're the richest man in the world. Don't lecture us about instability. You spend more time in memes than models. You've got 5 kids named after CAPTCHA codes and a rocket that looks like a stainless steel adult toy. Laughter erupted again, louder this time, more pointed. The jab landed, but Musk didn't flinch. That rocket, he said, leaning forward now, is the only serious attempt to preserve our species. You mock it because it's easier than facing the truth. That people like you, with the power to influence minds, are the biggest obstacles to progress. Kimmel shook his head with mock sympathy. No, Elon. People like me just call bullshit when we see it. And lately, your brand of progress looks more like an ego trip with a press release. The smile was gone from Musk's face. He didn't look angry, just tired. You think this is about me? He asked. Everything I've built because no one else would. Governments stalled. Corporations played it safe. So I stepped in. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Kimmel tilted his head, studying him. Is that what you tell yourself? That this is some kind of burden? You're a billionaire with a god complex, Elon. You don't carry the world. You sell it. One tweet at a time. For the first time, Musk's voice rose. Not in anger, but in volume. I don't need to be here, Jimmy. I came because I thought you'd want to understand. Because I thought maybe we could actually talk about something. Real. Jimmy didn't blink. And I thought maybe you'd show up as a human being, not a press machine in a leather jacket. That one hit harder than expected. Musk blinked, visibly trying to hold something in. He inhaled sharply through his nose, looking off stage for a brief second, as if weighing whether it was worth continuing at all. But then, with surprising calm, he turned back. You want to mock me? Fine. But there are engineers watching this tonight. Kids, dreamers, people who still believe we can fix this planet before it collapses beneath us. That's who I'm here for. Not you. The crowd responded with a mix of claps and confused murmurs. Musk was trying to pivot, trying to reclaim control. But Jimmy wasn't letting it go. Let me ask you something, Elon, he said, his tone cooler now. You're always talking about saving the world, about innovation, about humanity. But do you even like people? The question hung in the air like smoke. Musk didn't answer immediately. I believe in people, he said, measured, even if I don't always understand them. That's not what I asked, Jimmy pressed. Do you like them? Or are they just variables in your equations? Musk swallowed hard. You're twisting it. No, I'm simplifying it, Jimmy shot back. Because for all your talk of progress and vision, the one thing you never show is empathy. You fire employees over email. You ridicule critics. You launch flamethrowers as toys while the world burns. Because sometimes people only pay attention when you make noise. Musk snapped, louder now. Right, Jimmy said, voice rising. So the noise is the point. Not the mission, not the work, just the noise. Musk's voice cracked slightly. I don't want the noise. I want results. I want solutions. But nobody listens until you shake the system. Jimmy's tone turned sharp. No, Elon. Nobody listens because you've made it impossible to separate your message from your ego. You want to be seen as a savior, but you act like a martyr trapped in a Twitter thread. The words hit like body blows. Musk's face turned, a shade paler. He shifted in his seat, hands now clasped tightly in his lap. The audience, sensing the shift again, quieted. Even the house band fell still. For several seconds, neither man spoke. Then Musk said, almost whispering, You don't know me. Maybe not, Jimmy replied, but I know what I see. And right now, I see a man desperate to be understood by an audience he keeps alienating. That's when it happened. The dam cracked, Musk's jaw clenched. He blinked rapidly, trying to keep his expression even, but it was there. The tremble in his chin, the wetness building at the corners of his eyes. He turned his face slightly from the camera, but the lens caught it anyway. The unmistakable shimmer of a tear. Jimmy noticed, but didn't smile this time. Instead, he sat still, watching. Musk's voice came low and uneven. I've sacrificed more than you know. For this, for all of it. And maybe, Kimmel said quietly. That's the problem. Musk stood abruptly. Not storming, not posturing. Just done. He removed the lapel mic with a shaking hand, set it down gently on the chair. No one clapped. No music played. He turned to walk off stage, but not before turning back, just once, to say something barely audible, picked up only by the boom mic overhead. Some of us are trying to save the future. Others just sit here and mock it. He walked off. The camera didn't cut away. Jimmy remained seated, staring at the empty chair. Then finally, he looked into the camera with a half smile. Not smug, not triumphant. Just tired. "Well," he said, "that went somewhere." The words hung in the air, brittle and strange. The live audience didn't know whether to laugh or clap or do anything at all. The band remained silent, waiting for a cue that wouldn't come. And Jimmy Kimmel sat there, still in his chair, his hands folded in front of him, looking at the empty space where Elon Musk had been just moments before. The silence that followed was the loudest moment of the night. A producer off-camera whispered something through Kimmel's earpiece, likely a prompt to pivot, to cut to commercial, to salvage the segment. But Kimmel waved it off. He wasn't finished. "I want to say something," he said into the camera, his voice quieter now, the usual smug detachment missing. "Because, look, that wasn't the interview anyone expected. Certainly not what I expected." There was a murmur from the crowd, something between agreement and discomfort. "He came on to promote a vision," Jimmy continued, his voice slower, deliberate. "And maybe I pushed too hard. Maybe I didn't let him say what he needed to say. But part of this job, part of this platform, is to ask questions. Especially when someone wields the kind of influence that Elon Musk does." He paused, letting the weight settle. "I don't hate the guy," he said plainly. "I don't even dislike him. I think he's brilliant. I think he's dangerous. I think he's trying to do the impossible while pretending he's not falling apart. And maybe tonight we saw some of that." The crowd was stone quiet. Kimmel leaned forward slightly. "What we saw wasn't just a clash of egos. It wasn't just late-night theater. It was something else. A guy with the weight of the world on his shoulders who's convinced no one understands him. And maybe that's true. Maybe no one can. But here's the thing. When you stand in front of the world and ask them to follow you into the future, they're going to ask who you are. Really are. Not just the genius, not just the billionaire, but the human being underneath all of that, another beat. And tonight, for better or worse, we saw him." The camera zoomed out slowly, showing the wide shot. Kimmel alone at the desk. The energy of the night completely evaporated, replaced with something closer to reflection. Then, finally, the band played a low, uncertain chord. It wasn't upbeat. It wasn't triumphant. It just was. The show cut to commercial, but by then the damage and the impact was done. Social media exploded within minutes. Kimmel vs. Musk started trending globally within the hour. Clips from the confrontation were already being dissected and reposted across TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit before the West Coast broadcast even ended. Twitter, or X as Musk now insisted it be called, became a war zone, an endless scroll of memes, analysis, and digital shouting matches. Some users praised Kimmel for holding Musk accountable, while others accused him of going too far, mocking a man under extreme pressure and exploiting vulnerability for ratings. Memes of Musk's watery eyes looped alongside video of Kimmel's sharpest barbs, often with mocking captions like, "When the rocket science gets too real," or "Crybaby Space King." Others offered genuine concern, arguing that the moment was less a meltdown and more a breaking point. A single frame, Musk mid-exit, looking back one last time, became the image of the night, spawning both ridicule and empathy depending on which corner of the internet you landed in. Meanwhile, Musk himself had gone silent. No tweets, no cryptic memes, no replies, just digital stillness, the kind that feels heavier when it comes from someone known for constant noise. By morning, the story was everywhere. Major news outlets picked up the confrontation, ranging from sober analysis on CNN to sarcastic commentary on The Daily Show. Some speculated on the long-term fallout for Musk's ventures. Others questioned whether Kimmel had crossed a line in chasing late-night gotcha moments. But the one thing everyone agreed on: no one had ever seen Elon Musk like that. Tesla's PR team issued no formal statement, nor did SpaceX. But a scheduled live stream showcasing a new Mars habitat prototype was quietly postponed. No reason was given. Meanwhile, the Jimmy Kimmel Live YouTube channel uploaded the full interview, uncut. It racked up millions of views within hours. The comment section became its own war zone. Some viewers called it Kimmel's finest moment. Others said he'd bullied a man on the verge of collapse. And amid all the noise, one surprising thing happened. Kimmel went quiet. No follow-up jokes, no snarky monologue the next night. Just a somber acknowledgement that, sometimes, what happens out there, he gestured toward the studio floor, is bigger than the show. The episode became legend. Late-night producers whispered about it as a new high watermark for confrontational interviews. PR agents updated their risk assessments before booking clients. And viewers, casual and hardcore alike, remembered it not for the punchlines, but for what happened after the laughter stopped, because that night didn't end with a mic drop. It ended with a man walking away, tear-streaked, exhausted, human. And for once, late-night TV didn't give us a clean, snappy ending. It gave us something real, a moment of raw, unfiltered truth on a stage built for spectacle. Elon Musk would return to the spotlight eventually. He always did, but he returned changed. More measured, less cavalier. He still tweeted, of course, but the tone was different, subtler, less of a performance, more like someone who had been burned by their own fire and lived to feel the scar. Kimmel, for his part, never tried to recreate the moment. He didn't need to. You can't fake lightning. And in the end, that night became more than viral content. It became a reflection of something deeper. The limits of genius, the toll of public life, and the uncomfortable truth that even the most powerful minds can break, especially under the weight of their own expectations. The show went on, but it was never quite the same.